What's up, everybody? How's it going? We're gonna do some sharpening today. I'm gonna sharpen my own knives, though. I'm caught up. I have one customer knife left to sharpen, and I don't really feel like doing it at the moment. I just got it in. It's a fixed blade. I kind of want to do it on a different mood. So we're gonna sharpen a military. Want some people join us. So let me pin this. Do 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 do. Cool. Super duper awesome. Oh snap! How's it going? Good to see you, dude. You're always around. So this military 2, I have had for a little bit, but I've kind of avoided putting an edge on it just because I haven't really had time. But it's also, I don't know why, but this knife was a gift from Mr. Eric Glesser. He sent it to me in the mail before these dropped, which is super duper cool. So I kind of left it original. I don't carry it, but it's not that big of a deal. So I need to put an edge on something, so we're going to put an edge on this. So oh, you think you have a unique job? I'm talking to you on the internet and sharpening knives. That's my job. Man, no one's really joining us yet. Giovanni? I'm gonna start doing this on Instagram too, I think. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried live streaming my sharpening on Instagram because I don't think you can use a computer to do it. I think you have to stream from your phone, which kind of dumb. Because if you go to the Instagram desktop, maybe there's an app for my um, there's nowhere to post. Let's scoot this a little bit farther down. This is a long blade, and so the idea is you want to kind of center it in the clamp. That's better. And then we're going to go take our stone, our flat grind lines right here. We're going to line them up. They are parallel, which means we can sharpen the heel, and it's no big deal. Okay, we'll tighten it down. I plastic dipped the jaws on these, but I still use chamois cloth underneath them. But the combination of this kind of tacky surface and the chamois cloth, which is underneath here, keeps the blade fairly secure as long as they're tightened down. I do strip these screws a lot so they kind of don't get that tight. There we go. It keeps it in place, keeps it protected, keeps it from walking around or getting scratched. Okay, start off with a 150 stone. We're going to profile this out at 17 degrees because 17 degrees is my standard Spydies angle. The only times I don't do them at 17 degrees are when someone has already done them differently, and then I just maintain their angle. Or if the factory angle is like both sides very even, like if it's both sides are at 19 and it was even and all good, and I'd probably leave it there. But for my own knives, I like them to get 17. One, because that's where they're supposed to be at from the factory. But 2, it makes sharpening them when they get dull like take literal 20 seconds. If you know what angle you're at on all your knives, you can put them back in your sharpener. And adjusting is the worst part of sharpening by far. Finding the angle on knives, I hate, especially doing it on video. It's stressful, and it's like, because it's a judgment call kind of, and you're moving stuff around. It's not really exciting. But if you don't have to do any of that crap and you just throw it in and run, it's awesome. Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got? Say something to me in the comments here. Makes it fun for me. Okay, so 17 degrees is pretty much dead on. It's a little bit at the top of the bevel at the heel, and it's a little bit at the bottom of the bevel at the tip, but it's pretty much dead on at 17. So since this one side's already there, we'll test the other side just to show you how we do it. This side is pretty close to dead on as well. So 17 degrees is what we're going to sharpen to. Hello, Facebook user. Click the StreamYard link. The link at the top of this post will say enable my name to be read by StreamYard. Nope, this is just S30V. I don't know if they've released the S110V version of this yet. I think that's in the reveal. I think it's coming out soon. But this is just the regular one. It's really cool, though. It's just like a big, giant PM2, which is dope, obviously. Okay. Check our stop collar right here. Make sure that we're not going to overrun the blade with the stone. We have a little bit of room, so we're going to bump it down a little bit. Get the most real estate out of the stone. If you see other people sharpen and they do a lot more sweepy stuff and they stay in the middle of the stone, that's okay. That's how other people sharpen. I use the entire face of my stone when I sharpen. I don't know. I have it. I have the material, so why not use it and keep my stone more? It's just how I've grown to sharpen. So I hit my bumpers and my stop a lot. Most people don't rely on them to keep themselves safe. Don't rely on them to keep you from scratching your knife. Don't do that. It's bad. But I definitely use my whole face of my stone. So if you don't sharpen like that, that's okay. You don't need to. Yeah, it looks kind of ashy on screen, so it's kind of purpley. But it's black. Okay, here we go. We're going to do forward strokes and backward strokes while we just make sure the edge is all nice and even. We're taking off the existing scratches from the sharpening from the factory. And most importantly is we're doing the heel. So the biggest thing I do on every factory Spydico is I'm very proud of the way I make my heels look. They're very square, almost always they're square. Sometimes I scrimp a little bit, but we're just going to shove the stone up against this flat grind and grind away until it's even and the edge runs all the way and just dies. So it looks like there's nothing there. I don't believe in sharpening trails and Spydicos. I cut with the very, very end of the edge constantly. When I cut stuff, I use the whole edge, but I definitely use the heel. And if there's a sharpening trail there, it would, it would cut me. It would snag on stuff. It would look out of place. And I need it because I cut with that part. So if you can sharpen to the very end, just sharpen to the very end. So we'll grind a little bit at the heel, and then we blend it in a little bit. And our heel is basically there. It does not take a lot of work with good stones on S30V to get a square heel. So do I, Giovanni. I'm just picking stuff up as I go. And I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years now. But I really would say I didn't learn how to sharpen actually for several years after I started. Like, I sharpened for a long time before I was doing anything remotely resembling being helpful. I was definitely ruined a lot of knives. Not ruined, but stuff that I had to sell because I couldn't look at it anymore. It just takes a lot. It's so simple. There's so many little tips and tricks that you pick up from people and adjust over time. And I don't know. It's fun. It's a fun thing to learn. And if you keep on watching, you can keep on picking up tips and you're off to the races. Okay, doing the heel on the clip side. Have a little bit. The profile on this side is a tiny, tiny little bit. It was pretty close to 17 degrees. Okay, our Sharpie's all gone. Got another day at home with kids today. My wife leaves for work in about an hour. And then I will have 2 small children. So I'm getting this done while I can. I think we're just going to do a 400 grit edge on this military. There's no reason to mirror this. It's not the kind of knife that I'd mirror edge on. So we're pretty much profiled that side. Okay, so now we're going to do our second pass on our original side. So we're looking for, feeling the edge for a burr. Definitely have some. I'm going to do a couple more passes in the middle of the edge. I don't feel a burr yet. Tip, we got a burr. Heel, we got a burr. Just kind of a little bit in the belly. Oh, sick. I saw those. That's like the triple clamp thing. I am curious to see how well the KME, because the distance between this point and the leading edge is shorter and use shorter stones. I'm just interested to see, like, at the extents of the KME, how accurate the angle stays. So when you're way out of the tip and way out of the heel, if it stays similar to at the belly. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. You definitely can grip just about anything with that huge adapter that he's been teasing for a bit. I also love being a dad. I have a 4-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and they are really cool. Really cool people. I'm sure Brian Patrick Spalding helps design it, and it works just fabulously. I'm sure it'll be great. He's been teasing it for a couple weeks. Okay, we have a burr, so now we're just doing one more profile pass, lining up scratches, making sure all our Sharpie's gone, don't have any shadows or anything hidden. Do a couple strokes on the heel and fade them in. Okay, the heel's looking good. Okay, so now we're going to inspect the edge before we move on. You definitely got a burr. We're all even. We're all scratched the same direction. Man, we got the luckiest life. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love being stay-at-home dad. It's fun. I can't believe how fast the days go by. Actually, surprising. Sharpening definitely helps it go by quickly, though. Sometimes they drag, but usually time just flies. And mom's home, and then it's nighttime, and then we start over. Okay, 400 grit CBN, and that's how high we're going to take this to. We're only going to take it to 400 grit. This is my military. I want to, look original-ish. So 400 grit edge looks close to a factory Spyder. It looks nicer. It looks 50% nicer than a factory Spyder. So less grind lines. It's pretty well refined edge, actually. It's surprising how good it looks for such a low grit. So we're doing some forward strokes, and now we're going to go backwards, match our pattern up, and then start over again. Anything that's hiding from us or needed an extra scratch to get it off the other direction. Now we're going to flip. Hi, MJL. I appreciate that because I was getting a little lonely here at the beginning. It was just me and Giovanni hanging out for quite a while. So thank you for joining us. It's fun to do these because I need the mental distraction because my house is really loud and I go to my office and I zone out and my head feels better when I'm just sharpening. Okay, definitely flipped our burr. So right now, if you take your fingernail, you can feel an obvious burr. This is S30V. It's got a pretty big burr right now for S30V. Number 2. So we've apexed the first side. Now we're going to apex this side, and we're going to flip the burr down, and then we're going to do another pass, and we're going to remove the burr. So we're making a burr 2 times, 400 grit. And when you hit edge that has a burr on it, you will feel it when you're at the right angle, and you will definitely hear it. It sounds different. And then as soon as you swipe through it, it's gone and back to normal. Now we're just going to clamp some scratches, rebuild the burr back on the other side. Okay, now we're just going to do a final pass. The 400 grit on side 1. So now we're just trying to get rid of the burr and make sure everything looks nice and cool for our finished product. And then we'll take it to the strop and take the rest of the burr off. I'll probably do a few passes, actually. A few light passes. Make this thing extra sharp, get as much of the burr off now as I can. If I was to stop at 800, I don't need to do this as much, actually. I'd actually do less passes because my 800 grit stone kills the burr really fast, like immediately. This, I have to work out a little bit on each side with the 400 grit stone. I have the Hapstone Premium Diamond Stones, but I was wondering if CBN leaves a better finish mirror. I don't have experience with them, but from everything I've learned about CBN, yes. It's because the way CBN molecules are made is diamonds are good at cutting because they have facets that are very pointy. like diamonds. Like imagine a diamond. It's got pointed sides. So, but a CBN molecule is like this, and it's like rounded, and it's got rounded sides, and so it's got a bunch of like hexagonal facets on it. So since the facets aren't as pointy, they don't dig as deep into the material. So if you're doing a mirror, your lower grit stones will have a lot less ground to make up because you didn't leave as deep as scratches. But they still cut like crazy. So I don't really know the full physics of it. Um, but CBN, the reason I got CBN stones is everyone said get these. They leave amazing mirrors, and I do mirrors. I like doing mirrors. They do mirrors insane, but they also just do awesome edges. I'm sure yours do just as good as edges. Maybe just more time finishing or got some stray scratches. Nope. I like to tell people how much stuff costs because I want people to know what I use so they can set their expectations appropriately on what they can afford and what their budget is. So I bought this. This is a TS Prof Cadet. TS Prof is made in Russia, which obviously is at a war right now. So stuff is more expensive and harder to get than it was when I got this. When I bought this was like almost 2 years ago now. I bought this, and the sharpener itself, I think you can get for the Nero. This is the Cadet Nero, not the Cadet Pro, but the base model Cadet Nero. I think you can get this for around 400. But I added this clamp. This clamp comes from the KO3, which is the big TS Prof, but it works way better than the clamps that come with this for pocket knives. You'd think a small form factor sharpener would have good clamps for pocket knives specifically, but it has better clamps for kitchen knives. So I use the center clamp. The center clamp's about $100. So the sharpener, let's say, is $500. And then my stones, you don't need as many as I have, but my stones are, I think they're $65 or $70 a piece. I think I spent 400 and something on my stones, and then a bunch on my strops. This setup is about $1,000, and that's what's frustrating when people watch me sharpen and they want to get the same stuff, and they just look at one piece and they're like, "Oh, well, the sharpener's only this much." Like, yeah, but stones cost just as much. So when you're going through this process, you have to kind of think about the whole thing and what you're going to end up with. So that's why I still recommend a KME so much, because a KME for $200, you can do any knife you want. You can get pretty damn good results. It might just take a little bit longer, but it's only $200 with stones and the sharpener, and there's awesome support, and there's a million people who use it and can teach you it, and you can fix it. And if you have a warranty problem, you can literally just put it on Facebook, and 2 seconds later get someone from KME talking to you and telling you to email them and get it fixed. So this is about $1,000 setup for this, but if you're looking for a good budget setup, KME is great. Well said. My Venom CBM give a better mirror than info. Hapstone, diamond stones. I think the Hapstone CBN appreciate the info. That's what I was taught. Is just the way CBN molecules are made leaves less scratches, but they're still very, very hard material. But diamond's the hardest material, so it's just not the hardest material. Okay. I don't remember where we stopped, so we're just going to do this quick pass on the side. I think I didn't do the side yet. Last pass. All done. We're going to strop this on a Beavercraft leather paddle strop. People ask me where I get my strops. I buy them probably where I shouldn't. I'm on Amazon because when I need them, I need them, and they prime deliver them to me for $20. So the paddle strop's got two sides. They're both the same. I think it's cow leather, but both the same texture. Some paddle straps I see will be rough on one side. I don't know what that's for. So these are both the same texture. I have 6 micron and 3 micron on here. I'm still kind of learning what I should use microns for, to be honest. But when I'm doing non-mirrored edges at 400 grit, I've been going to 3 micron because the size of the diamond particles are still big enough to cut and like pull and all that stuff. But when you get down to like 0.5, you're really just polishing. You're not doing as much of edge repair or straightening. So I go with 3 micron. That's what I tell people to usually buy if they're just going to buy one or 3. Angle by lifting up as we push into the leather. We're at 17 degrees, so I'm pretty familiar with how this feels. And we're not going to do a ton of passes. I've been stropping less and less and less and less, and I'm getting better and better edges. So we're just going to do a quick strop to make sure that the edge is clean. Flip it. Making sure the burr is gone. Mirror this or anything, so we're not really trying to polish the bevel that much. And now my favorite part of sharpening, after I get to clean it off and make it look all nice and get all the dust off of it. It's examining my heels, which look good. Not shiny, nothing to really look at, but it's very well done. It's got a good heel. And now, I guess the important part. I don't know why I forget this sometimes. On camera, anyway. I think we might need to put it back on the sharpener. There we go. There's a little spot in there. I think it needs strop more. There we go. I don't do any exotic cut testing. I don't sit around with joint paper and phone book paper or whatever, super flimsy paper, and try to stand up cut it. I'm not that good. I'm just gonna say it. It's also a pain in the ass to set up, especially when you try to tape it and then you screw up or you don't video it right or whatever. But my edges are sharp. They're as sharp as you want to be. When someone comes up to me and asks me to sharpen a knife, the first thing I do, if it's someone from like when I used to work at construction companies, is I do that. If their knife does that, I don't sharpen their knife. I say, you're fine. Because honestly, a factory edge will cut paper just like this, but you can feel the difference. Like it's sharper than factory. It leaves little curly cues if you want. But if it will slice paper, you have a sharp knife. And that's realistically sharp enough for anyone to open boxes with or whatever. The extra level of sharpness is just for fun. Okay, next up. What are we sharpening? I'll let you guys vote. Should we sharpen this? A Rex 45 Mannix lightweight from GP Knives, which is in stock now for, I believe, $125 or $130, somewhere around there. But this is a really cool exclusive. GP Knives sent me 2 of these. I'm going to give one of them away when I get around to it. But this one is still factory edge. Or the Shaman that I used to put some Cerberus scales on for some pictures. That's also got a factory edge. It's a 15V Shaman. So a triple V Shaman. Triple V Shaman. And this one's got a better edge than most 15V knives I've seen. It got a little bit trailing off at the heel, but that's easy to fix. But the edge itself looks pretty good. It's even. It's not going to be a ton of work. You guys pick. Whoever says which one they want me to sharpen first, I'll sharpen. Hi, Mark. How's it going? This is fun. Let's have a little crew with me today. Got some coffee in my Hogwarts mug that we just got for Christmas. It's really, really big mug and kind of too much coffee. Okay, shaman it is. Okay, we're putting this in our clamp. Use a little chamois cloth underneath it to keep it clean and secure. Okay, take our stone and we're going to adjust the shaman and the clamps so the stone is parallel with the flat grind line right here, which is the most important way to set a knife up. The reason I do that is so I can get the entire heel without hitting the ricasso, which I have done back before I knew this dumb little trick. I did it all the time. And I ruined a lot of my first knives. So we just did a knife at 17 degrees. However, and this is what I always try to tell people about their sharpeners if they're using the factory indicated angle. So like on a TS Prof, there's marks here, but they're reference marks. They don't have a number on them. They don't say like 13 degrees or 23 degrees. That's because the distance from here to this point is different for every knife. So if you're out here, your angle is shallower than if you're back here, it's steeper. So if you're just going by the numbers on your KME, and I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's not going to be accurate. It'll give you a range. It's more of a reference point for you to know next time you can put it back there, because every knife is going to be slightly different. If I do a really skinny knife that's like a Tonto, and then I have to spin it and the Tonto edge is way out here, it'll change the angle like 1.5 or 2 degrees. Like it makes a big difference. So I use an angle cube. We just had a knife at 17 degrees, but let's see. I mean, it should be really close, but we're going to check anyway just to see if we need to make any adjustments. So it's at 16.6. So we're going to drop it down a little bit. So now we're at 17. And just the tiniest little bit, but the sharpener didn't move, but the knife got wider. Okay, draw on our edge. I'm going to check to see how close we are. So we're fairly close. We're within a half degree. The tip is right on. Yeah, we're close. We're really close. That's good. Second side, just to confirm, we're at thread angle. So this side, we're more on the top of the bevel, which means our angle is too low. But since we're right on the other side and we're at 17 degrees, we're going to keep it at 17 degrees. We're not going to adjust and try to get both sides because both sides aren't the same. So when people say use a Sharpie and sharpen it, that's true, but you got to check both sides, find the average, or pick one side that you're going to leave alone. So this one, we're going to leave the 17 side alone, and we're going to reprofile, I don't know, a degree out of this side. Yeah, we got a little bit to take out this side. So this side won't be a ton of work. It's pretty close to the right angle. This, we have to pay attention to the tip. We have a little divot at the tip. So we're working the tip. It came out pretty easy, but we're going to tip with our finger under it to keep the stone flat. Yeah, we got a problem solved, but that's a good way to do tips if you're worried about rounding your tips off and rolling a stone over like that. You just keep your finger underneath it and it'll keep it flat. So all our Sharpie is pretty much gone. So now we're going to concentrate on the heel. 15V sharpens really easy. So Sean Houston, who's Triple B Handmade, whose mark is on this knife, he designed the heat treat for this knife. And 15V came from Crucible with a sheet that says, here's how you cook it to make the optimal results, the hardness, the toughness, whatever. That's what Crucible said. Sean took this and messed around with it and found that he had better results for a knife using whatever different methods he is. So one of his things that he was focused on, though, on this steel was not just making it really hold an edge for a long time, but making it also not impossible to sharpen. And 15V is not hard to sharpen at all. I mean, it's a hard steel, but it sharpens well. It sharpens very well. It sharpens better than Maxima does. So our heel's coming right off. I'm going to do a few more passes this side, and then we're going to flip it. When I'm doing a factory Spyderco edge or almost any factory edge, I always start with the 150. Some people will think that's too coarse, but leaves a nice finish. Honestly, it leaves almost factory Spyderco finish at 150, but it still eats steel really well. I have an 80 grit, so I do have a lower stone, but it doesn't work as well. I don't know. It works well when you're at a high angle and you're taking off chips. It doesn't work as well when you're flat and you're trying to work a bevel line back. It doesn't work as well. 150 works great for that, though. So these stones, my 150, my 400, I use by far the most. And because I'm doing now, I'm putting some good pressure on a 15V knife and trying to grind away a bunch of steel to profile the side. Not that the stones wear out, but the very little edges of the CBN kind of get buried underneath the metal matrix of the metallic bonded stone. And so to expose a little bit more of the CBN, you don't lap these stones the same way you do resin bonded stones or any other typical stone. These stones, since this is a solid piece of metal with CBN in it, you take ferric chloride acid and you rub it on the surface, and that eats just the tiniest bit of metal off here. It doesn't change the thickness. It eats a little bit of metal off here and exposes more of the CBN grain. And since I did that, it's really good. I have to be careful. It eats steel quick. Getting the tip, there's a little bit of marker on it. Okay, we're good there. Our belly needs a little bit of profiling. Looks like we're about there. A little bit of marker on the very leading edge. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you have marker on your edge or if it's a buildup of shavings. So sometimes I'll be sharpening and I'll see the edge. Looks like it still has a phantom shadow on the leading edge, and that's just the burr or it's metal shavings building up. Sometimes it's marker. So you gotta check it, touch it, still marker. And this little spot right in the middle of the belly needs to be profiled more. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. It depends on what stone I'm using. 400, I do a couple passes, and then I don't know. I kill whatever's left of the burr. When I go to 800, though, there's very little burr left. So I really only do one pass on 800, and I don't know. Then I just drop. It's not a huge deal. It's just as sharp as when I do a bunch of passes, honestly. How do you like the Hapstone R2? I am curious about that system. I am curious as to how it compares to my Hapstone RS, especially. Hmm. Okay, I'm back. I don't know why my computer keeps on doing this after like 40 minutes. Every time I do this, it freezes. So I think it might be time for a new MacBook, which I never say lightly because these things last forever. Okay, checking for a burr. We have one in some spots for sure. And at the heel, we have one. So now we're just going to do cleanup pass. Oh yeah, I don't know when it froze on the video. How do you like your R2? If I didn't say that before the screen froze, I'm interested in that system. And how do you know it's if it's different than how different is it from the RS? I guess if that's easy to explain. Yeah, it's go like I only changed the stock clamps with clamps from the RS. Oh, really? Interesting. Clamps make a big deal on a sharpener, that's for sure. So if they're the right ones, they're the right ones. Then they work pretty well. I also put chamois cloth inside of the jaws of the RS. They definitely benefit from using a little piece of this stuff. It helps you tighten it down way tighter without the blade skating around inside the metal. Okay. Got a burr throughout. So now if we're apex, we should be able to run our finger down the top of this edge and the burr will be gone. As it is. Do a couple more passes. Now we're going to jump up to 400. I get decent edges, but I get a weird ribbon effect that looks crappy. Can't quite figure it out. Jesse, you can shoot that to me in a message if it makes more sense, and I'll take a look at it if you want me to. And this is for what system that you get that edge? Now we're going to look down the edge, look for anything that's going to be, I don't know, look off. So like area that's more matted or more shiny or just little divots, anything that looks off. We're going to do this edge satin anyway, so it's not a big deal. But right at the tip, we have some more work to do with this stone, it looks like, because we have some scratches left from the 150. Okay. Now we're doing forward strokes. Line our scratches back up. We're apexed. We should have a burr on the other side right now. So now we're going to flip it, and now we're going to take the burr off. So we have a nice size burr, definitely there. 15V creates a nice burr. It's not a question when you're sharpening if you got an edge or not. It pops right up. So now we have to take that off. We're going to take long strokes against the burr, a couple passes each side. Let's do one more pass each side. All done. We're going to drop this on 3 micron paddle strop from Beavercraft. It's 3 micron Gunny Juice diamond emulsion from Gunny EDC products from our very own Scott Gunn. He is a scientist about this stuff, and he put a lot of work and knowledge and brain power and trial and error into getting Gunny Juice to do what it does. And it gives me phenomenal edges. It makes them sharp, and it makes them shiny when I want them to be shiny. So you don't need a ton of passes on it. It's got lots of diamond in it, and it does the work quick. Okay. And the reveal, we got a little bit of marker on the edge, so we're going to spray it with some Gunny Glow. Gunny Glow, it will clean anything, pretty much. And we're going to take a magic eraser and just wipe it down to get the Sharpie off the edge. So much easier than trying to scrub on it. If you get Sharpie on the top of your bevel, be very careful. Do not sit there with a rag and go back and forth. You'll cut yourself. Get a magic eraser and go off the edge. Go off the edge. And we'll take off that Sharpie. It can be hard to get the Sharpie off, for real. And then to dry everything, I use a chamois cloth. This isn't as dirty as it looks, but that's just all the dust from cleaning off edges off this I get. You can wash these. You can throw them in the laundry. It's not a big deal. So we got 400 grit edge, nice heel. See how it cuts? Oh, I like that a lot. 15V, I get some killer edges on 15V. This is a good one. Oh, I like it. It cuts nice. All right, good to go. We sharpened 2 knives. Took about 50 minutes, including yapping and setup and me trying to do this more professionally because I'm on camera than I normally do. So yeah, that was fun. Might do it again today, later this afternoon. But that was a good little morning break, and my wife's going to leave for work soon, so I should probably go take over the kids. So if you guys got any more questions, I can hang out here for a few more minutes, and if not, I'm going to sign off. So I'll give you guys a moment. And what have we got in the comments? Okay, well, I think that's it for you guys. Thank you, Mark, for joining me. And that was another lovely morning sharpening session. I will be back probably this afternoon to do another one. So join me again. Peace.